So today's agenda, like I said, will be about an hour. First, going to cover what is ranking and why it's important for today and for tomorrow. There's three main pillars for ranking in Google Maps. And I'll clarify this, but we're talking about Google business profiles, Google Maps where you build reviews, a website SEO. That's going to be our next webinar in another month or two. So we'll get everyone the dates whenever we have that. There are three main ranking pillars that we're going to cover here: proximity, relevance, and prominence. And we'll, of course, cover all the details of what that means and what you can do to reinforce those. We're going to end with our guy, Kobe McManaman. He's a former handyman general contractor out of the Toledo, Ohio area. He is now one of our amazing team members here at Handyman Marketing Pros. He has a lot of experience growing a contracting company, opening a second Google Maps location. So a lot of people wonder when they expand, like how they should open a second Google profile. So we're going to be covering that a little bit, getting Kobe's perspective. Each section here, we're gonna have action items. We want this to be actionable. If you have any questions about any actions or anything, please, like I said, drop them in the chat. We'd love to answer those for you, cover them in as much detail as possible. Don't be shy. This is truly about you and bring value to you. So ask away, even if it seems small. Truly here to help. So before we dive in, I'd like to cover for the basics, what is ranking? There is a big difference between SEO and ranking for websites and Google Maps. Today is focused on Google Maps, and it's our first focus because it is the highest impact. It's sometimes called like a Google profile, sometimes called the new small business homepage. A lot of people that find you online are first hitting your Google profile before they visit your website. So this just shows here what it looks like when I'm saying ranking number one in Google Maps, ranking in this three pack, which is the top three here. That is kind of where the money's at. Most of the clicks go to this section. So that's what I'm talking about when we're trying to rank in Google Maps. A ton of traction comes to these profiles. It's absolutely ground zero for what you need to do from startup to well established. So why is this important? I've got a bunch of stats here that you can check out, but basically people use Google for searching for home services. Handyman near me, handyman services Dallas, all the related searches for a ceiling fan installation. Google is the platform for when people need things. Social media is largely an entertainment platform, so the lead quality is quite low. Google is just the powerhouse for high quality leads and where people are going when they actually have a need, they're looking to hire somebody. It is a growing platform, regardless of a lot of noise about Google dying and AI and lots of hype, which is why I've got this next slide here, which I'll just quickly break down, which just kind of reinforces where my brain thinks about, the rationale and logic of Google and like, oh, is AI and ChatGPT going to take over Google and it's going to all go away? Google's business relies on providing high quality search results and answering people's questions because they sell ads. That's a massive part of their business. Google is one of the largest, most profitable companies in the world. The numbers are really ridiculous. They're the number one player for search when people are searching for things, and they're a top three player for devices, so the Google Pixel. So they own where people search and what device people are searching with. They're on the cutting edge of investments into AI. Their ChatGPT equivalent, Gemini, is making huge strides. So Google has historically been a very smart investing company to stay on the cutting edge and provide valuable products. So barring any colossal shifts, businesses need to be on Google. So our very first of three ranking pillars is proximity. And what proximity is very simple: how close you are to someone searching. Google knows where a searcher is because they're on their phone, they're on their computer, and they know where you are. Proximity is the one of the three pillars here: proximity, relevance, and prominence. Proximity is largely a fixed variable. You can't just like up and move very easily. There's a lot of friction here. So for most, proximity, it's kind of what it is, where you are, where you verified your profile. So Google knows where you're located. For most here, you're going to want to set yourself up as a service area business. And so that's when you look up your business name, it shows a map, which you can see here. It is best practice for most. If you don't have a physical office location, this should be how you're listed on Google. If you do have an office location, I see my guy Alan Lee here. What's up, Alan? We've got Alan's example here. He has an actual office shop location, and so his address is public. So I do just want to clarify, there is SEO noise of like, oh, if you have a pin in the map, you're going to rank higher. That is true if you are in the cutthroat, high competition, multi-million dollar plumbing companies trying to rank in Denver, Colorado. For the handyman space, the result, the difference here in ranking, if you don't have an office or do have an office, is marginal at best. So it's best to live by Google's best practice standards. So if you don't have a physical office, please use your service area. But the important note here is that when you verify your profile, which if anyone here has not created and verified a profile, Lee or Kobe, if you guys could drop a link to Google to get started on that, as well as our verification guide in the chat. So anyone in here that does not have this profile, please, 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 it's the most important thing you can do for your marketing, especially in the startup and growing beyond that. It's very important. So in your verification process, when you created your Google profile, most here use their home address and have a service area. Even though we can see in this photo here, it's got a service area. This is PJP Handyman, one of our clients in San Antonio, services the greater San Antonio area. Even though his address is not public, Google knows where he's at because of the verification process. They do collect your physical address, and that is kind of their behind the scenes pin in the map. And so when we're talking about proximity as a ranking variable, your initial rankings that are established and where they'll bloom out from is where the profile was verified. So if you create your Google profile and after a while you realize like, wow, I'm getting a lot of calls from my local neighborhood, not too far away, that is because of proximity. And inherently, it's a really great attribute for most small family-owned handyman businesses because unless you're accounting for mileage or trip charges, it's a more profitable job when you just have to drive a few minutes down the road than, an hour across town. So, proximity, level of competition factors into how wide of a radius your business ranks. If you're in a massive, massive metro area like Los Angeles, Dallas, you are not going to be able to rank as many miles outside of your location because there's more competition. And every single competitor that's closer to someone else searching, it's kind of a hurdle you have to jump over to kind of rank higher above that competitor that is technically closer than someone searching. So the bigger the area, the tighter the ranking radius you're going to reach. However, because of population density in big metro areas, Google profiles in Los Angeles, Dallas, etc., they get a ton of traction, very high ROI. And so that just explains that there's the more competition, the less you're going to rank distance wise. Rural areas. I was talking to John Gann, or just kind of mentioned him before we got started here. He's in a very rural area of Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. And so John's profile is capable of ranking 15, 20, 30 miles away because there's very little competition. And also, if you are super rural, there's some weird stuff with Google and that their algorithm almost gets confused when it's too rural. So there are some funky things if you're out in the boonies. I wouldn't call Lake of the Ozarks the boonies, but we've certainly worked with some people that are, but you can rank way further in rural areas because of a lack of competition. So for most, you're going to be somewhere in the middle. A really well-established Google profile. You can expect 5 to 15 miles ranking radius around your location, especially with good SEO. And when I talk about ranking radius, here's like a map to give you an example. So this was a more established client that we started working with years ago that had some SEO work done. They had a website. And so you could see this little bubble, these green bubbles that say 1, 2, 3, 4. The number indicates where they're ranking. And so you can see here where this green concentration is, that's where he lived and where the profile is verified. So naturally, the low-hanging fruit is in the surrounding area. The purpose of optimizing your Google profile, building reviews, doing SEO, having a professional website is to maximize the rankings and maximize the radius at which you're ranking. So you can see here the aftermath of running SEO for a while. We're expanding beyond those original parameters. And so that is the value of SEO. That is the value of doing these activities that we're going to talk about. And the beauty of this, guys, is why I love SEO. It's my personal passion within marketing. It's a big, wide open industry of marketing with ads, websites, SEO. SEO is an asset that you own and it grows in value over time. It's not like paid ads where when you stop paying, all those leads dry up. So that's why this is really important stuff for you guys to kind of pay attention to. And a lot of this stuff is very, very actionable for you, even if you're owner operator just starting up part time, whatever it may be. Um, so proximity is a fixed variable, obviously. As a business grows, a really strategic way to grow, if there's any more established businesses in here, is to secure a nice office or shop location in a desired area to expand your market. Recommend looking at least 15 to 20 miles away from your home or where your original profile is to not kind of cross any wires with Google and risk suspension because they do have guidelines of you don't want multiple profiles way too close. Um, Also, something to consider if you live a good clip outside of your main market, it is worth considering a co-working space, a really cheap closet office, so that you can have a more established Google profile in your market. It's really hard to break into a larger market when you're 10, 15, 20 miles outside because of the proximity variable. Just a quick note, it's not too applicable here, but proximity does vary by industry. So Google's very logical, rational system. So that's what I do love about SEO and ranking. Gas stations, obviously, when someone types in gas stations near me, proximity is a way bigger variable than the highest rated gas station. Someone just needs some gas. Someone just needs some coffee. It's a little bit looser for home services. So SEO, you can kind of rank further for home services because it's not as immediate as I need some gas. So what to do as far as action items for proximity? This is the most limited one for action items, guys, because of hopefully you understand here. I have at the bottom move, LOL. I would recommend moving for the sake of ranking, but you get the picture. It's a rather fixed variable. So action items, though, if you live far outside your market, absolutely, I would consider looking at co-working spaces. A lot of them can verify Google profile or closet office space that's affordable rent. If you use a friend, family, or connection for a more ideal profile location, you have to be very careful. You need business documentation that aligns with their address. So you just have to dot your I's and cross your T's to get that profile verified. Just be very careful, especially if you're doing that for a second profile. Do not recommend, perhaps for a primary profile. When expanding your business, opening a second location is the first thing that I would recommend someone to do. You're hiring, you need more kind of traction in another market, opposite side of a bigger town. Opening a second location across town is an amazing high ROI activity that will more than pay for any kind of office rental or a shop space. I hope that was helpful, guys. Any questions on proximity? Understanding it is a rather fixed variable. What's up, Lane? Lane Scarano with Brush and Hammer in Portland. What's up? I'm in Oregon myself, Southwest Oregon. All right, let's keep going. Um, Again, an encouragement, please, any questions, go ahead and drop them. So this is more of the nitty gritty here. I see a question from Lee. If I use my address, can I change my profile to a service area? Great question. So glad you asked that, Lee. If your profile is verified, and you already have your address public, I don't recommend touching it. If you touch an address, even switching it to service area business, you risk suspension or a re-verification with Google. And if anyone here has worked with Google support, they are an absolute nightmare. They don't invest as much in their Google business profile support as they do their ads because it doesn't really make them much money directly. So if your profile address is already verified, it's set, I do not recommend touching your address section. Just be sure to have all your service areas listed though in that service area section, which we're about to jump into. Hope that's helpful, Lee. Don't touch your address once it's verified, unless you're moving. I would not recommend touching it because of how Google can kind of soft suspend or re-verify your account. So, relevance, let me back up here. So, the second pillar of three for Google Map ranking is called relevance. This is the most actionable section here for you guys because largely this lives within your dashboard. So we're going to jump into actually, honestly, his Google Business Profile dashboard. And we're going to jump into all the different settings in there. And I'm going to guide you on how to set that up for a handyman business. And we're going to go through all the weeds of how to add and build relevance. This is one of the variables that you can control. Jim Baker, why would I rank higher in a town 20 miles away than my own town? Sorry for the confusion. You would not. You are going to rank your Google profile in the area that it was originally verified. So you would be ranking initially in your own town, assuming that's where you live. Um, it might have crossed wires there. If you live 20 miles outside of your main town, your main service area, it's going to be really hard to break into the rankings of someone in that town searching handyman near me because you are technically verified 20 miles outside of town. I hope that that makes sense. Okay, still sharing my screen, I assume. Okay, so this is your Google Business Profile dashboard. This is where you add relevance. Why would I rank higher in a town 20 miles away than my own? But I do higher in a town. Jim, I am more than happy to take a look at that for you at the end of the webinar. It sounds like maybe a trickier thing. Google is sometimes a mystical beast. And so if you drop your business name and your location, I'm happy to dig that up kind of at the end of the webinar if you want to hang out. Also happy to, if you can't hang out the whole time, drop your email. I can film a Loom video, a quick audit, and kind of see if I can figure out what's going on for you. Okay, so this is your Google Business Profile dashboard. This is where this is the only things you can kind of adjust within Google. So we're going to go through all the different pieces here and how to add relevance. And really, this is the control, the levers you can pull to actually dictate to the best of your ability ranking and classifying your business within Google. So honestly, obviously, shout out to Alan, 402 Google reviews. That's amazing, man. What an accomplishment. So the first section we're going to dip into is edit profile. So, a lot of this stuff is pretty straightforward. It's business name, you're going to add your phone number, etc. The most important thing here, guys, is business category. Make sure, assuming you're a handyman business primarily, I'm just going to assume that from here on forward, your primary category needs to be handyman. Um, the primary category is the biggest ranking factor that you can control as a business owner. I shed a tear when I see a handyman business that is labeled as contractor, as so we got contractor here. We've got repair service. We've got general contractor. Even if you're a licensed general contractor, I know that that's a big authoritative value piece that people really appreciate about your handyman business. You need to be labeled as a handyman. That is because the primary category is the biggest ranking factor as far as what keywords people are searching for. When we tell people we're primarily a handyman business, we are going to maximize our ranking for handyman near me, handyman services, your town, whatever it may be. It's the highest volume keyword and it blows any other service specific keyword within the handyman space out of the water. Um, Even if you do a lot of remodels. I know a lot of handyman businesses are kind of a split between remodels and handyman services, or maybe 30% remodeling. Remodeler is a great secondary category, but leading with handyman is my absolute guidance because of the sheer volume of search, the number of calls and website visits you'll get from those searches. And if you do remodeling or other related trades, you can cross sell your handyman leads, your handyman clients to your kitchen remodeling, your basement renovation, whatever it may be. The lead cost and the level of competition for handyman is much lower when than compared to remodeling contractors, countertop, kitchen remodeling. I mean, it's supremely lower competition and lower cost per lead. So it's almost like a way to get really low cost leads for high cost jobs if you're cross selling GC, general contracting services. So cannot understate here, guys. Primary category should be handyman. Now, you can add up to second, or you can add up to 10 secondary categories. These are not nearly as powerful as your primary category. However, they do add some weight to more service specific searches. So as you can see here with Alan Lee, honestly, handyman, we've got plumber, electrician. So when you look up, when you think about any electrical related services, ceiling fan replacement, that's going to pull electricians. So we want that as a secondary category. Plumbing, obviously, garbage disposals, faucet swaps, etc. And the beauty of the handyman search term too is that people are looking for all these jobs, but they're searching for a handyman, right? So when someone's searching for a handyman for the garbage disposal, you can actually get that job as compared to if you were a plumber and someone searching plumbing. You're never going to outrank a massive plumbing companies in your market. There's typically a lot of them per capita that are spending thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on ads and SEO. It's just not realistic. So that's why handyman as a primary is just beautiful to almost cut in line for these bigger, more niche home service companies. So secondary categories, beef these up with relevant service focus. So these are some really popular ones in here. Repair service, that kind of covers, can better encompass home repair. It's a very low volume search, but nonetheless, repair is kind of a common keyword appendage, if you will, for repairing whatever it may be, faucet repair, fence repair, fence contractor. That is, if you do fence repair, fence staining, fence building, you want fence contractor, drywall contractor, gutter cleaning, pretty self-explanatory, appliance repair, home cinema installation. I'll call this one out because honestly, Handyman does not do home cinema installation. Right now, he's probably like, what the heck? Why is that on there? It's because this is the best category to have for TV mounting service. And that is a really profitable, amazing niche within the handyman space, is TV mounting service. In and out, as long as you understand the surface that it's going onto. So home cinema installation, great secondary category if you do TV installations. Another notable that I want to mention is deck builder. This is the search term for deck repair. And even though that's kind of a scary word, like I don't do deck construction, I just do repairs, replacing a few boards. Just add deck builder as your secondary. And you can always do your own research on this because if you look up, my guidance here, guys, is if there's anything you want to know for sure of like, what should I add as a secondary category? You can do TV mounting service, Los Angeles and scroll down here, and you're going to see here home cinema installation. Here's a handyman, primary category, home cinema installation. So you can kind of do your own little quick research of, what's a good secondary category for this really focused service that I have that I can further beef up within Google. So you can see here all these businesses, home cinema installation is kind of their primary category. Unfortunately, we cannot see their secondaries, but that's a good way to kind of do your own research for a focused service. Okay, business categories. Most important thing we can control for ranking our Google profile as far as settings that we can update in here. Add an honest, authentic description. Personality wins. I do recommend just taking a minute or two, have something personal that's real. Please do not do like a generic chat GPT about me without any context. This matters in today's world, and algorithms do benefit from, or they favor authentic, real content. So write a true description about your business. Overall, add all these things. So opening date, contact phone number. If you want to add a little chat function, they sometimes remove this. It looks like it's back in maybe for good. Obviously, your website. Add your social media profiles here. This is an old account, so short name is not in newer accounts anymore. That's actually probably why chat might be here. Alan Lee has been in business they've been in business for 10 years. So Google profiles have changed dramatically over 10 years. It used to be called Google My Business, Google GMB. Here's your location settings. Again, if you're already verified, do not touch this. You could get a re-verification. It's a nightmare with Google support. Make sure you're adding your service areas. Pretty straightforward. Double check if you are a service area business. I am totally blanking on the name. We were researching some handyman business, and they accidentally had a random like town well outside of their service area, and it zooms out the map and it pulls in this little dot that you can't see, and it negatively impacts, in my opinion, it's going to negatively impact your rankings and Google's authority within your local market because let's say you're in Folsom, California, but you accidentally added a little town in New York. That makes no sense. So do make sure when you Google your business name, if you've got a service area, it should come in nice and zoomed in and clean. So here's a good example. If this business had a random service area way outside, it'd be really zoomed out. I hope that makes sense. So just a QA check on that. Business hours. I recommend having your true business hours of when someone could expect to reach you and when you're doing work. There is lots of chatter about having 24-hour, 24/7 because it influences your ranking, all this stuff. There is some truth to that. However, It's not your honest hours. So unless you have a call answering service, I would recommend having your normal business hours. This is especially so if anyone runs Google local service ads, which are connected to Google My Business profiles. You want to have your authentic hours because if Google sends you a lead from LSA or local service ads, it has a tracking number and they know when people don't answer. And if you don't answer consistently, your ads go down in the tank for them and it won't show as much. So I like to keep it clean with, I recommend being honest and clean with most things in life, but certainly your Google business profile should be honest representation of your business. Okay, so fill all these kind of little things out. I'm going to stop here because there's just lots of little widgets here. Feed the beast, but most importantly, make sure you got these business category service areas. Reviews. The only thing I want to mention here is get reviews and never stop. The quantity of your reviews matters for ranking. The velocity of your reviews, and that is a fancy marketing word for the consistency of reviews, matters. So if we pull up Alan here, honestly, Handyman. Sort by newest, yesterday, 5 days ago, 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. They have an automation in place to consistently build reviews. Highly recommend this. Usually, your CRM can automatically ask for a review after an invoice is paid, a job is marked complete. Recommend turning that on. We do have a lot of this stuff baked into our services as well. So the only thing I want to mention on reviews, reply to your reviews. We're going to cover that in a future topic here. I've got to hurry up. It's already been 30 minutes. So photos, consistently add photos to your profile. Um, and the most notable call out here is I want to say like if you're doing like weekly posting on social media, whatever your cadence is, if you're uploading photos to social media, showcasing a project, go ahead and hop in your Google profile, add photos. Consistently adding photos are just a low-hanging fruit that you can easily do. The biggest call out here, cover photo. Right here, you're going to see change cover. You can see Alan, honestly, it's a nice personal photo. I highly recommend your cover photo has the bright smiley faces behind the business. I don't care if you're pretty. Have a smile and headshot, family photo, team photo, whatever it is, have a smiley face in your cover photo. The reason for that is it is the most viewed photo on Google. So if we look up here, Handyman, Roseville, California, we see Alan. It's the most viewed photo. They've Google changes all the time. They used to actually put their photo like right over here, right over here. Now it looks like, at least on my screen right now, when I hover over it, obviously you see some photos there. Hopefully on the right side of my screen. The cover photo is the most viewed photo, and it's an easy way to instantly build that personality, that connection as a real local business. It's going to set you apart instantly from any competitors, certainly franchises, any AI generated images, caricatures, etc. Be real and authentic. Add a custom cover photo, even just an old headshot. It makes a difference on engagement and someone being like, he looks like an honest guy. Those are a real local company. I'm going to give them a call. I'm going to visit their website. Posts. Google posts are like Google social media, if you will, except they actually make a difference on ranking. I recommend having some regular cadence of Google posts. Even if you're not active on social media, I would encourage you to create 2 to 4 posts per month, one per week, whatever cadence you can do, one per month. Just create some kind of consistency and cadence to Google posts. I've mentioned feed the beast. Google rewards businesses that engage with their system. Google posts are a very powerful SEO ranking tool that anyone can do. Publish about your jobs, the work you're doing. Alan here put a post up about 400 Google reviews. It doesn't have to be super fancy. Just, upload a photo of a completed job, do a quick little bit about what it was, and post it. You can link to your website, etc. This is a very core part of our SEO strategy, linking all this to the website. So, you can see here, this is something that we do for Alan, replacing a bathroom faucet, outdoor lighting, link back to the actual page on the site. And so create this content about like the work that you're doing. It's naturally going to have your focus keywords and what people are going to be searching for. Also, algorithmically, logically, when you post about a ceiling fan, it makes sense that a handyman business is doing that. So I recommend having Google posts around the work that you're doing. It does make a big impact as far as your rankings that anyone can do here. Performance, advertise, edit products. Um, you could consider doing products. It's kind of like a wishy-washy thing that is more relevant for restaurants, coffee shops, etc. Something that we do for all our new clients is, and Alan's been with us for a long time, so we've got all these products for all his focus services. Something that I would recommend doing. Let's see if we can find this in here. Oh, here we go. So create a product that just has your kind of main market handyman services and have a nice little cover photo of a team member of yourself and link back to your homepage. That's something that we still do for products that is kind of more a general, like, hey, we're a local handyman service in Roseville, in Dallas, whatever. So that's something that you can add to your products. Edit services. I would recommend going through here and adding and kind of fine tuning this list to be accurate. The disclaimer, and many of you have probably experienced this, is that Google will just update your profile for you. Especially so with services. We found this to be impossible to keep up with because it just automatically updates. That said, I would at least recommend hopping in here and adding anything that's blatantly missing, remove anything that's blatantly false. Again, we're feeding the beast of like the information that we're telling Google. Services, products, just not as nearly as important as the business categories, photos, posts. Um, Ask for reviews. I've already mentioned that. The one thing I didn't mention on reviews, reply to your reviews. This is going to be something that we'll talk about as far as another ranking factor. Looks like Alan's a little bit behind on replying to some reviews, but even just a simple little reply, it goes a long way when people are researching. People are looking at your reviews. So that's a quick crash course, guys, on things to really pay attention to for your Google profile. Um, to get reviews, here's your review link. Would recommend automating that. Shoot for one review per week. That's my guidance for our clients, especially owner operators. That's 52 reviews per year, one review per week. If you're doing even part-timers doing 3 to 6 projects a week, you'd be able to pull a review out of that with the right way to ask and approach that. And I do understand some people work in markets that have a lot of AOL emails or older populations, and that's just what it is. They need a Gmail. There's no way to kind of game that, if you will. All right. There's a few other, up and coming is a Q&A, question and answer. That's something that Google is currently massively modifying. They had an old version of QA. It was not user friendly. Didn't really make much sense from an application standpoint. They're now rolling out an AI question and answer that is going to crawl your Google profile, your website, and answer people's questions right from your profile about your services, pricing. So having a completed Google profile, having a website with your accurate services listed, any pricing information, minimum pricing is really good stuff for the future when there's these kind of automated question and answer right within your Google profile. I just hope that we'll be notified on those questions and maybe able to reach out to those people that want a real human answer. Um, the so kind of mentioning this, reviews, a big part of relevance. Again, relevance is all about our business matching up with what people are searching for. I have a special call out here for reviews. The volume, the velocity, the total number coming in, and the consistency in them coming in is very important for ranking. Content rich. So encouraging photos or encouraging your customers to leave reviews with the photos of completed project, to talk about the job that was done, is like that extra credit review. We have a client, Honeydew Lister. We're gonna try and get them on the podcast to kind of figure out like what are they asking here because they're really good. Their profile is filled with high quality reviews. And it's as simple as in your review ask, whether it's automated or personal outreach. Hey, if you don't mind doing me a favor, leave us a review. If you don't mind talking about the project, uploading a photo, I would greatly appreciate it. It really helps our small family-owned business because it is a favor that your customers are doing this for you. It's actually statistically verified that if you frame it as a favor, you're going to get more review output. But just being real that it's a favor and kind of prompting them about job specifics, uploading photos, it's not going to happen for every review or even most reviews. But when they do come in, you can have a big smile on your face. We sometimes get clients that leave reviews with a photo of their website or a snapshot, and it always makes me kind of smile because it is a higher quality review, gets prioritized more. It naturally has focused keywords. Keywords in customer reviews matter. Keywords in your replies don't matter. Please do not keyword stuff your replies of thank you so much for hiring our Roseville handyman service. We really appreciated helping you with your deck repair contracting services. Don't do that. Keywords only matter in the client side review. Relevance, a big part of relevance comes down to your website. Well, a big part is Google Maps, obviously. Website, they work together. We're going to go into the weeds on this on our next webinar. There's just too much to cover here. Overall, what my encouragement for you guys would be to have a website that accurately communicates your business, your service areas, and your focus services. Ceiling fan replacement, dryer vent cleaning, deck repair, have those listed on the website. They'll naturally match up with the information in your Google profile. And we're going to go in the weeds on kind of the optimization side as just it's too hairy of a beast to cover all in one thing. I bore everyone's ears off as well. It's something I nerd out on. It's very fun, but I'll of course try and keep it actionable on that next webinar. Okay, so what to do to build relevance? The optimizations for your GBP or Google Business Profile. Everything I just covered. Do those. Make sure you got your primary categories handyman, secondary categories, photos, personal cover photo. Professional website SEO is a big part of relevance. High quality reviews, add photos to your Google profile, regularly do Google posts. FAQ on a website is really powerful. It has been powerful for the last year or two, and it will continue to be even more powerful as time moves forward and people are better. It's never been easier to get an answer to a question. And if we can control that on our website with an FAQ. So I'd encourage you guys to have an FAQ on your website. That was a thick section. We've only got two more, or one deeper one, and then we're gonna talk about second locations. Any questions? I see Kobe kind of answering some people. Appreciate that, man. Northern Utah. Hey, I got you, Jim. Lee, can you send me a lot reminder or something on Slack so I make sure to not forget Jim Baker with Northern Utah Handyman Services? Check out what he's got going on. Does not having hours hurt you, George? Yeah, complete that profile. All right, let's keep her rolling. I need a sip of that. Prominence. Okay, so proximity was how close someone is to you that are searching. Fixed variable. Relevance. Does your business match up with the search? Handyman near me. I'm a handyman. Cool. Someone's typing plumber near me. Would not have expectation about ranking for that. You should not want to rank for that. It's way expensive, high competition. So relevance matching up with the search to your business. Prominence. How well known and reputable your business is. This is a big combination of things you can do on the website, on your online marketing, your Google profile, your reviews. But in my experience and from what I've seen, especially the last year or two, authentic, like being authentically in your area as a local business is the kind of tried and true recipe. And so we're going to cover the details here of how to build prominence to increase your reputation, your well-knowingness as far as Google's algorithm and other search algorithms are concerned. So reviews have been mentioned many times. This is the exact same slide, and I'm not going to cover the exact same things I said before because there's this connection between we build relevance, so it drives engagement. Engagement communicates prominence. So reviews that are content rich reinforce prominence, authority, being reputable. So reviews kind of cover across the board for a lot of different things. So same notes on my reviews there. They do help with prominence. Responding to reviews, adding photos. So a lot of overlap here with prominence and relevance. So I noted here overlap with relevance. Relevance, as in your good categories, naturally builds engagement because you're going to be ranking higher, getting more clicks, getting more phone calls, getting more website visits, whatever it may be. That's engagement. And engagement builds prominence because Google knows all this stuff. They know how many people saw your profile. They know how many people clicked it. They know how many people clicked through your website. If you have Google Analytics, they know how many people went to your website. They know how many pages were viewed on average. They know how much the average time someone spent on your website. I call these behavioral metrics. And when we have positive behavioral metrics, people spend plenty of time on the website. They click around. You get a high click-through rate on your Google profile because you got a nice headshot there that people are like, oh, Handyman Dan seems like a cool dude. I'm going to call him to get a quote. This engagement naturally builds prominence because you're sending these signals to Google that people are engaging and talking about your business or calling your business. So Hopefully that makes sense with this overlap. Relevance builds engagement, engagement builds prominence. So a lot of that's connected. So, actionable things to do to build prominence, quality backlinks and citations. This is essentially other websites, directory listings that are linking to your business. Most powerful ones, obviously, Google Business Profile it's a citation. It's a structured information of your business name, email, phone number, website, about the business, your services, Yelp, Facebook profile, Instagram, Yellow Pages, BBB, Bing Places, Apple Maps. The list goes on. Yahoo Maps, MapQuest. MapQuest is actually a pretty good one if you got 5 minutes on your hand and you don't have a comprehensive citations built out. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's rather boring, but it is important. So online services to help build citations like in mass, it is something we do for all our clients because it's important for SEO. So if you sign up with us, we got you covered on all this. Bright Local and White Spark are kind of two online services. You'll pay a couple $100, $300. I forget what they charge, to build out a bunch of these kind of main profiles for you. And I said, please don't use Yext. Yext charges by the month to upkeep citations. It's kind of a scam as far as the marketing industry is concerned. So please do not pay Yext $30, $40 a month for your citations. It should be a one-time expense or something that your SEO web provider does for you. Um, Also notable here, local business memberships are very high value citations and backlinks that point to your business, that point to your website, that have your phone number. All these things are congrued into algorithms. And when it all matches up and it's hunky dory and you've got local citations, it communicates to Google that you are all else equal, a great local option to serve up when someone's searching for handyman near me, handyman services in your town. So, Chamber of Commerce, typically your membership will include a citation or some kind of in their directory. Don't skimp on that. Fill out the little paper form. My chamber was always very old school. So you fill out a piece of paper and they upload it to the website. Totally worth your time. Realtor associations, BNIs, any kind of organization membership you're a part of, builders groups. A lot of these offer that have a membership. You can get a directory listing. Always ask your membership organizations, hey, do you guys, can I have like a directory listing or a citation? And if they do, take that because it's the most powerful citations outside of Google, Facebook, the main ones that actually people will find you on. Because Google knows they're local, and whenever there's a local chamber that has a local business listed and they see you on Google and a website and all this stuff, it is very powerful from an algorithm perspective. So congruent online business information, this kind of goes hand in hand with the citations. You want everything to match up, your name, phone number, web address, business type, etc. You know, people typically don't struggle with this unless they rebrand or if you grow and you get a different company phone number, you ditch your personal number. Highly recommend doing that right away. Google Voice is a great free option, but you want your business information to match online. Another overlap here with relevance, consistent content being posted from your business. I want to highlight more on prominent section here is unique, personal, like hyper local content that is unique to you and your market and your business and your services, not generic. It moves the needle way more for SEO content. As we all know, the world has been flooded with pretty fluffy content over the years, and it's not getting better with AI. And so being personal, being unique, knowing, talking about your actual services, your real jobs, your actual market, things that you're a part of, are way more meaningful than fluffy AI generated social posts that, and you'll see those on business profiles, they get no likes. We've all seen the very minimal engagement on those kind of things. There's a big list here, guys. Last and certainly not least, and this is where I mentioned at the start of Prominence. Local community engagement. Overall, be an authentic participant in your community. It's going to naturally build people mentioning your business, people like putting links to your website, mention you in a social post. Oh, thank you so much, honestly, Handyman, for sponsoring, the kid toy drive or whatever it is. All these things are naturally going to happen by being a part of your community. So some highlights here. Um, Local sponsorships, events, sports teams, charities, whatever it is, memberships with local organizations, chamber, realtor associations. I've been in towns that have more niche business groups like the Downtown Business Association in Auburn, California, in Old Town Business Association. So there's different associations your business might be able to be a part of that are hyper local and get a directory listing, a mention, if you will. Support and partner with local nonprofits and charities. Can you get a booth somewhere? Do it. Usually, if you get a booth, there's not going to be any competitors there. You're going to get some mentions on social media from the event provider. I see Kobe nodding his head. We're going to see a nice photo of a booth with his guys on the next slide. But sponsor all the booths. I think it's really low-hanging marketing fruit for any home service, or not home service, handyman business, because no handymen are actually out there being professional, sponsoring a booth at their farmers market, the home shows, all these different kinds of events. Inquire about a booth. You're naturally going to see local residents, homeowners, and overall, all these things are going to start to naturally build you up to be the local hometown handyman that people know, refer, mention in Facebook groups. I could see here, I've listed mentions in local Facebook community groups. Active socials with unique localized content. If you're just in the community, you're naturally going to start generating prominence by being a part. I hope that that makes sense and is helpful. Cannot understate the value of just being part of your community, sponsoring a few booths a year at your home show. It's not only going to generate a ton of leads because no one else is going to be there competition wise. And everyone, I'm sure a lot of people here, if you've been in business a long time, they'll say, wow, I wish I found you years ago. I haven't had a good handyman. My guy stopped calling me back or doesn't show up on time or, the quality of work's bad. So people are dying to find you. Not related to Google Maps. People are dying to find you. So get out there and it's going to help your SEO in the long term. So at the end of the day here, these activities create local, authentic mentions to your business. And Google factors this into their algorithm. They're pulling all this information all the time and funneling it into your handyman business folder that they're assessing to ultimately serve up in rankings. All right, prominence action items here. Build engagement by following the optimization guidance. So everything I said in the relevant section, we need to build traction engagement to naturally build and create prominence. Local sponsorships, community events, everything I just talked about. Something I didn't mention is partner referral networks. If you have kind of your handful of referrals for, oh, you need your kitchen remodel, I've got a great guy. I highly recommend, I know this is something that we talk about in the coaching group quite a bit. Have a professional branded list of your vendors, your referral list. That is value you can add to the relationship with your clients, with your leads. Uh, there's something beautiful about like, hey, you know what? I've looked at your project here. This is kind of beyond our scope. I would love to connect you. I've got a few great options. Here's a list of my trusted referrals that I've worked with for many, many years. It's really powerful. It builds value to that relationship and is just going to further solidify you as the phone call for their next project. So build a partner referral network. If it's natural, you can kind of have some links together across websites, mention each other in socials, whatever it may be. Please do not participate in link building or link trees with local businesses. There's risk to be de-indexed and get penalized with Google if they sniff something to artificially influence the rankings. So keep it authentic. Join your local chamber, social activity, mentions and engagement. Organically posting or posting to your social page, if you asked me 2 years ago, did it matter for SEO? It absolutely didn't. Today's environment, it is mattering more because of this prominence side of things. Like Google has identified, algorithms have identified, it's actually pretty notable in AI tools, ChatGPT. Businesses that are active on social media in an authentic way, they're going to get recommended more. And I think it's just an easy signal that algorithms can pull that they're a local, authentic business. And at the end of the day, the objective for ChatGPT or Google is to provide a good answer, a good resource to a question. That's their goal. That's their business relies on that. So they really care to find these variables that truly indicate a good business. So reviews, slam dunk. That's the easiest variable algorithmically, right? If a business has 100 five-star reviews, it must be a pretty good result. Let's serve that up. If someone's active on social media, engaging their local community groups, they're being referred, they've got great reviews, all these things add up. So social activity is more important to SEO. There's probably videos of me a couple of years ago saying, "Oh, don't worry about posting your Facebook page. It doesn't do anything for SEO. It's more for kind of engaging with your best customers that care to like all your stuff." it does matter nowadays. And I think it will continue to matter more because authenticity is harder and harder to find. So I think it's a great way to kind of put out your authenticity to algorithms to get rankings, to get calls, to get website traffic from your local community. All right. Kobe, next up. So we're going to do a quick little jaunt here over to adding a second Google business location. A question we get pretty frequently from our clients is how to do that. When should I do that? Kobe is a licensed general contractor, former handyman, Rust Belt remodeling, and has been in the game for 4 years and has experience with that. So he's going to share kind of his experience, things to think about when opening that, because it was kind of something that he didn't know what he was getting into. So we'll go into Kobe and then any questions you guys have. I'm here till at least 3:30 Pacific and we'll kind of jam it out. So Kobe, I'll let you kind of jump in here, man.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Hey, everybody. So, yeah, as Jason said, been a contractor for about 5 years. One day I called Jason thinking, hey, I'm going to outsmart Google and I'm going to open a second location. I'm going to rent a little office space, a closet office space. We're not going to use it for anything. We're just going to have a Google business profile so we can sort of expand our search area. So, Jason kind of talked about when it's good, when it might be a good thing to open a second business location in your desired service area. I did it in a way that didn't make sense, and a lot of times it doesn't. So we had a physical location. We were actually using it as our shop. We were actually running operations out of this physical location. And then, like I said, we just tried to open a second location just for the sake of ranking on Google, and it just does not work that way. What a lot of people don't realize is when you open a second location on Google, you're not adding a second location to your Google business profile. You actually have to start a whole new one. You have to re-verify the Google business profile. Now you have two Google business profiles to manage, and you're splitting reviews between the two profiles. So if you don't have somebody managing that Google business profile, if you're not okay with splitting reviews, cutting them in half essentially, and having to decide which profile to send your clients to leave you a review, it might not make sense. So, in short, when it doesn't make sense to open a second location is if you're doing it just for the sake of trying to cast a wider net and increase your service area on Google, but you're not actually going to use it for the operation of your business. At that point, it's probably not a great idea. So that I mean that's in a nutshell. That's kind of my thoughts on it. Like I said, Jason already mentioned when it would be a good idea. In my situation, when I was just trying to outsmart Google, it did not work out. We started getting erroneous reviews from people we never worked with on this profile. I wasn't paying attention to it, splitting attention, and it ended up being a detractor from the business. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Kobe. I remember you were getting bad reviews because no one was there to answer like the door and stuff. And
Right.
so
Yeah, no, exactly. So yeah, I mean we weren't using it was like a closet office space. We got offered for cheap rent. I was like, this is awesome. We were already getting so many calls from our primary Google business profile. We have a second one. We're gonna double our calls, right? People started showing up to this office space and nobody's there. So we're getting reviews where people are like, yeah, we went there 4 different times throughout the week. Nobody was ever there. We tried leaving a note on the door and silly stuff like that. So like I said, if you're not actually using it, if it's not actually instrumental to the operation of your business, it probably doesn't make sense unless you're in one of those fringe cases where, again, you're 20 miles outside of the nearest city that's your target service area, maybe trying to get a space, in that service area, then maybe it could make sense.
cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Kobe. And yeah, overall, and it kind of aligns with Google's guidance is when you're authentically like, all right, we're growing the business, we're hiring, I'm bringing on a guy on the other side of town or whatever. It's great to explore. It's my recommendation for any really scaling handyman businesses, if you will, going beyond 500, 600, 750, $1 million in annual revenue. It's a great investment to make in depending on the market, a closet office space will run you 300 to 800, 1200, I guess, in really expensive markets to get a little space co-working spaces can be a great option. A shop space, Alan, honestly, Handyman, he's got a shop space, so it functions as storage, all kinds of efficiencies and profit that can be done through a physical location if you do it smart. So don't do it purely for ranking. Do it as part of a larger strategy to grow the business and be more operationally efficient, is kind of our guidance on the second Google location.